Chuck, Michael McKean, is locking up for the night, having a cup of tea before bed. Diligently making sure the doors are locked, peeking through the windows. He has someone watching out at night, sitting in the dark at all hours. He's waiting for something to happen, anything. A couple guys are waiting with a tracker. From a distance, Mike, Jonathan Banks, watches them with his own tracker. He's getting closer to figuring out who has a bead on him, his comings and goings. Could this all be a test? Is someone recruiting him to test out his skills? Or just somebody keeping tabs on a crafty guy like himself? Whatever it is, Mike's determined to get to the bottom of the mystery. And then he follows a guy in the night into morning, all the way to, you guessed it, Lospolshermanos. Goddamn. Jimmy, Bob Odenkirk, is meeting with a woman named Francesca Liddy, Tina Parker, applying for a job in the office. She meets with Kim, Rhea Seahorn, too. They check out her resume, her experience, so on. They need somebody organized to keep the place afloat. Kim isn't sold, but Jimmy wants to hire her. Something like this is going to play directly into the plot at some point in Season 3. When exactly? Francesca will play a big role, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe she'll wind up seeing Jimmy do something shitty, or she'll flip on him for some reason, or who knows. Mike calls Jimmy at the office. He wants him to go into Los Palos Hermanos, to keep an eye on things, the guy with the bag whom Mike previously followed. The beginning of how Mike and Jimmy come into contact with Mr. Gus Fring, Giancarlo Esposito. Jimmy has breakfast starting out his spy duties. Soon the man with the bag arrives and our hapless lawyer tries to keep him in his sight. Finally, our first look at Gus in a couple years. He sweeps up around where Jimmy sits, and the man with the bag too. Does he sweep something up from the guy? Is that their sneaky system? Mike gets no information that helps from Jimmy, walking away empty-handed. For the time being, Mike keeps on Los Palos Hermanos, determined that he'll find out what's been going on. It's a tiring job, one he no doubt was prepared for all those years as a cop. Soon, a black SUV pulls into the restaurant rather suddenly, backing into the rear out of sight. Then it's gone again in a rush. Who's driving? Victor Jeremiah Bitsu, our old pal from Breaking Bad. Another lead to follow. At the McGill/Wexler offices, Ernesto, Brandon K. Hampton, can't go in, so he phones Kim. She goes out to meet him and he's so obviously stressed, with the information he knows from hearing Chuck's clandestine tape. He wants to tell Jimmy about it, but doesn't want to get in trouble because of helping his friend, so he opts for Kim, whose view of Jimmy has once again shifted. "Gimme $1, she tells him, the same he did with Walter White and Jesse Pinkman when they had him in the desert, hood over his head. They've now got attorney-client privilege. He spills the beans, involving his emotions over Chuck, wanting to cut him some slack mentally. Only the tape exists now. Note, when Kim's talking to him and he's peeling tape off the newly painted wall, at first, before he gets frustrated, he uses the technique his big brother Chuck taught him last episode. He can never escape him, even when Chuck is screwing him over, eternally. Still following that tracker, Mike is out in the middle of nowhere. He's lead to a gas cap in the road, a cell phone waiting on top. And surely when it rings on the other end are instructions for where to go. In other news, Howard Hamlin, Patrick Fabian, is sneaking around in the neighborhood near Chuck's place trying to remain unseen. They have a little secret meet. Howard's getting impatient with all the nonsense, all the money spent on private investigators, etc. All in the name of trying to snag Jimmy for his crime. He wants to get on with alternate strategies and finish with Chuck's paranoia. No sooner do they finish their conversation does the younger brother show up, pissed off and ready to beat down the door, which he does. He flies into a rage and calls out Chuck over his betrayal. He breaks open the desk to find the tape, then cracks it into pieces. Could likely mean only more trouble for Jimmy, as there are witnesses to his frustrated outburst. Man oh man, what's next for the brothers McGill? Nothing good. Coming up is some costs, and I'm so intrigued to see more of Gus plus Mike, as well as what Jimmy must deal with in the fallout of his actions here in this episode.